Okay, I wanted to put a little video on here to help you out with the osmosis experiment because it's one that causes a lot of confusion with some students. So there are instructions on the website, but this is what you need to do. First, you need to get your dialysis tubing, which is in the bag, and cut about a 20-centimeter strip. Now the tubing feels like plastic, but once this gets wet, you'll be able to open it up kind of like a trash bag. So you get your water, preferably distilled water, and you just stick it in there like that and let that sit for a few minutes. Other things that you'll need will be 2 plastic pipettes, your glucose test strips, 4 of those, your glucose solution, starch solution, and Lugol's solution. So once the dialysis tubing sits for a little bit, and I'm going to go ahead and take it out, it will get kind of soft like that. Okay, what you need to do is to tie a knot in one end, and if you have trouble, you can use your forceps that you use for the owl pellet, slip it through there, grab the end and pull it through. You want the knot to be kind of towards the end, but you can also use string to tie that, but you don't want it to leak. So if you can do this, this is best. So then at this other end, you're going to open that, like I said, kind of like a trash bag. Sometimes it's kind of difficult. Okay, and we'll save that for later. So next thing you do is going to get your glucose solution. Take your glucose test strip, and you're going to dip it down into the solution. Anytime you use a glucose test strip, you just have to dip it and bring it right back out. You wait for 60 seconds. Any color change means that there is glucose in whatever solution you just used. So you're going to get your pipette. The pipette up to that mark, it is marked with 3 milliliters. You're going to put 6 milliliters of the 15% glucose solution into this bag, and you don't want to get it on the outside of the bag. If you do get it on the outside of the bag, then after we tie this thing off, you need to rinse it off and it'll be fine. Okay, so I have put 15% glucose in the bag. The next thing you need is your starch. This is 1% starch. It's not marked 1%, but it is. And you need to shake it up before we do the same thing with it. So you're going to put 6 milliliters. You can use the same pipette. It's best to kind of rinse it out before you do it. But you're going to use the same amount of starch in the bag. And again, if you get this on the outside of the bag, like I just did, we'll need to rinse it off. You can leave a little bit of space if you can for air. And then you're going to make another knot in this end. Cinch it down pretty good. And so you have a little baggie full of glucose and starch. Okay, we'll set that aside for now. Next thing you're going to do is get your water, and I think it's 180 milliliters of that. You're going to get a different pipette, and you're going to put 1 milliliter of Lugol's, which one is there, and it's marked. You can see it, probably not from here, but, and this is the stuff that'll stain your clothes, so don't get it on you. So you're going to get 1 milliliter. You're going to put it in your water, and then kind of stir it up, and it should look about like weak iced tea. Okay, you can see that I already stained that, so you're going to throw that one away. Okay, so now this is your beaker with Lugol solution in it. This is your bag with starch and glucose and water in it. The 4 things you need to be concerned with as far as where they're moving and if they're moving is water, which is in the beaker and also in the bag, Lugol's, which is just in the beaker, glucose, which is just in the bag, and starch, which is just in the bag. You are determining whether the glucose is present by testing things with the test strips. And remember, any color change is a positive, but you have to read it after 60 seconds. As far as the starch goes, when lugols and starch get together, there's a distinctive color change. And so that's what you need to watch for. If you see the color change, then you know starch and potassium iodide or lugols is present. So the next thing you're going to do is take your bag, and I'm going to try to kind of wipe it off because you don't want stuff on the outside. I'm not going to get up and rinse it though, but you should, in distilled water if you have it. Okay, so you're going to take the bag and your beaker, and you're going to put the bag inside the beaker like that and let it sit for 30 seconds. Okay. What's going to happen is some things may diffuse inside the bag, some things may diffuse outside the bag, or from the bag to the outside into the beaker, and that's what you need to determine. You'll do this by, again, the test strips or color changes, and you'll need to record these in the assignment on the website. Now, in the past few semesters, they have changed the concentration of the lugols, so I had a problem with students saying they haven't seen the reaction that they're supposed to. So that's why I'm putting this video on for two reasons. One, so that you can see, kind of give you an idea of how this is supposed to work, and the other is for me to actually see if it's going to work with the contents of your kit, because they sent me the new one so that I'll know if it works. So then if you tell me that you didn't see what you were supposed to see, I'll know it's not the kit's problem. So I'm not going to sit here for 30 minutes and talk to you, but I am going to wait a few more minutes, and then I'll show you what's happening within the first, whatever, 2 or 3 minutes we're here. But you need to wait for 30 minutes before you take your picture. As far as the picture goes, you're supposed to send me a picture of the bag and the beaker after it sits for 30 minutes. And you need to send me a picture of the glucose test strips. But all that is on the website. So it appears that we're getting the reaction we're supposed to get even after just a few minutes. You shouldn't fool with it. You should just leave it sit for 30 minutes. But I'm going to go ahead and show you so we can stop the video and you can get started. But this is what it looks like after just a few minutes, and you can see that color change is inside the bag, but not inside the beaker. The beaker is the same color as it began. But leave that for 30 minutes before you determine whether there's any color change in answering those kind of questions. So if you have any other questions on this, post them on the discussion board or send me an email. I'd rather be on the discussion board, so if somebody else has the same question, then they can refer to that too. So good luck.